Hi, this is Kenneth Tu again and Anthony Tran.
Yep.
And so last time we were talking about Magic Leap and why we thought it was a little too early. Today we're going to be focused more on talking about rituals that are needed for AR apps. And the rituals are essentially little gimmicks that you have to do to get an app working properly.
Yeah.
There are some companies do it better than others, and today we're going to be talking about what are some examples that are of rituals that are out there now of a variety of different apps and why they're needed. And then the part two of this similar conversation is going to be, at what point can we get rid of these rituals? Because they kind of exist because we need them to, but they don't necessarily enhance user experience.
Yeah. So the first thing to understand for people who aren't familiar with augmented reality, something that's understandable to people is when they think about augmented reality, they want to augment, change, make better the things around them. So the first kind of advance that has been happening in recent years is being able to scan surfaces and or walls that have enough contrast in them so that your camera can realize it's a surface or a wall.
Can you elaborate upon what you mean when you're saying contrast? Is it a visual contrast? Is it an actual contrast in reality?
Contrast actually meaning just like there's enough like light and dark features on the scanning surface for the camera to pick it up. Because if you were to scan a glass surface, that would have almost no contrast, it'd go straight through. If you were to scan a pure white wall, that also has not proven to work well for augmented reality experiences right now, because the camera, again, can't understand that it's a wall. It thinks it's a blank slate. So there needs to be enough like dots, like even on this table, the grain is good. Because
but if this were a glass table and we were trying to place a dog on the table,
it'd probably scan straight through and look at the floor.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't get the table as a surface. So
at least for now.
Yeah, at least for now. So right now, when people are playing around with augmented reality, the first thing on mobile experiences that people will realize is they'll ask them to scan the floor or a surface. So there'll be some ritual where they have to go like this for a couple of seconds. And sometimes you'll see little dots, and the dots are actually the camera picking up contrast points for it to start anchoring things to that surface and or wall.
Can you define anchoring for the audience briefly?
Yeah, so once, essentially, if they see a bunch of dots here, and then with a little movement in the camera, they can realize this is a plane. And once they realize this is a plane, then when you place an object, it'll sit there, a digital object, it'll sit on top of this plane. So until the camera realizes there's a plane here, it can't place anything anywhere, essentially. So that's the mobile experience. The other experience we want to talk about, just because it came out and is pretty cool, is Magic Leap's ritual. And they have a similar ritual, but it's way more advanced. In that after you put on the glasses, they'll ask you to look around your room, and they have these little circles, and you look at them for about 5 seconds, and then you'll see it load. But as you look at it, you can actually see the mesh of your room being created. So when we do it on the phone, it's actually a almost like a constrained version of that because the processing power isn't large enough to create a gigantic mesh of your room. But Magic Leap, again, is specialized for this.
Yeah.
So you look around at these like 4 points, sometimes it's quite a lot. But then you can see the computer actually build a model of your room so that when you start placing things inside of that space, it interacts with those walls, it interacts with that table. Now that's augmented reality.
Yeah.
Right? Again, if we go back, 4 years ago when Pokemon Go came out, they did augmented reality, but in not so augmented way where you'd place a Pokemon, but it'd be like through the table. It'd be floating in this general area.
Even though it's a land-based Pokemon or something.
But when you walked around, you could tell that it wasn't actually anchored to anything in the room.
Yeah, it's just floating, basically.
Yeah. But then once this anchoring technology becomes better, then we're going to start seeing real augmented reality experiences that are way more compelling. To see like a whole, castle come out of the table and portals coming through the hole, and then when you place an object here, it'll actually recognize you. It won't run into you. It won't run into the walls.
So right now, with these current kind of rituals that we have to initialize these AR experiences, I don't think all of them are things that users like. So with AR Dragon right now, I'm not sure if it is right now, but for a long time it was the most popular AR game, which isn't saying much because the top AR games are still a fraction relatively to the top games overall on iOS. But for this little virtual pet thing you had to kind of point your phone at the floor. And we actually did user tests of people trying out this game, and some people couldn't summon the dragon. Right?
Yeah.
So what do you think about games that require one of these processes? Are they acceptable to users? And how can we anticipate these rituals disappearing to improve user experience?
I think for mass adoption, the rituals do have to disappear, but we have to just understand the rituals are necessary right now for a couple reasons. One, obviously the first thing is finding the plane, like we said before. The other thing that the ritual does, though, is also make sure that there's enough lighting in the room that all this stuff can happen, right? Because there's sometimes that you will have a good table to experience this, augmented reality in, but the camera itself also has to be able to see it. And if it's too dark or too bright, then the AR experience isn't going to happen anyway. And again, this is the limitations of the computer vision that we're running into right now. So we do have to kind of figure out a way to advance computer vision and also advance, the hardware itself, which is what Magic Leap is doing, to make the scanning process a little quicker and be more flexible in more environments.
Sure.
Right? Because there are plenty of experiences that that we've seen people try. And again, in this particular room, we can't see it right now, but behind us is glass windows.
Sure.
If you did not know what augmented reality was and you tried to start placing stuff on the glass windows,
the glass wall,
or near the foot of it, it's just going to walk through it.
Yeah.
So it's never going to recognize that stuff.
And so that's kind of a janky experience for a user.
Yeah.
Because they might think your app is broken.
Yeah.
And this isn't something that people intrinsically know about AR apps.
Yeah.
At least not yet.